You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Let's play a little game of Would You Rather, School Counselor Edition. Okay, would you rather spend your weekend planning a group or spend your afternoon sitting in irrelevant PD? Yikes. Or would you rather be the only counselor with no one to collaborate with, or to spend hours searching online for engaging activities? All of these options are pretty bad, right? But unfortunately, they're all too real. But what if I told you I had a solution for you? What if I told you I had access to hundreds of school counseling lessons, groups, and activities, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most, and a community of like-minded school counselors to support you? You would say, yes, please. Well, that is what Impact is all about. Impact is my monthly membership for school counselors, and it helps you with all of these things. You get access to hundreds of resources. That's unlimited free downloads. Log in and get what you need right away to every single resource that's in my store. We add new resources each and every month. We're adding a new middle school and elementary resource each month, and some of these are bonus Impact exclusives, meaning that you can get resources just for members. You can request resources that you need and easily search so you can find exactly what you're looking for. And let's talk about the trainings, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most. We do these each and every month as part of our Coffee with the Counselor series. Impact members get to join for absolutely free. You earn PD certificates and you get exclusive access to members-only things like the Ultimate Small Group Experience and our Summer Summit Conference. And the community. Y'all, this is possibly my favorite part of Impact. I so look forward to jumping on these calls, to getting to know counselors who are similar to me and also completely different. It's so fun to hear from your experiences and your challenges, and everyone brings a unique perspective to the table. We have an exclusive online community, and we even have a cool app where you can chat with other counselors in these community circles. We have our monthly calls, like I mentioned, twice a month, and we share wins, troubleshoot tough cases, and just talk about what it's like to be a counselor, because so often we're on our own island at our school sites. So if any of that sounds like it's for you, I would love to see you inside Impact. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to solve all of your counselor problems. And I have a special offer for my listeners. Use code POD at checkout to save 10% off your first month. Okay, let's go to today's episode. Hey there, happy December. You are listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So this month I decided that I wanted to do a recap on some of the best episodes of School Counseling Simplified. So this is a best of series, and throughout the 5 Tuesdays in December, I will be replaying a favorite episode of School Counseling Simplified. So these are ones that have gotten a lot of listens that people love, and I want to share them with you. Consider it a little gift, a little treat. If you've already listened to this episode, you can always do a re-listen to get refreshed and re-inspired. Or if you haven't listened to it, if you're newer to the podcast, you're going to love these. And I like to pull out older episodes from time to time so you don't miss valuable info. Or if you're like, I've already listened to that recently, I don't want to listen to it again, then enjoy the little break from the pod, because I'm sure you're super busy this time of year. I am so grateful for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the best of these replays. So let's get started. The first one comes from episode 132, How to Teach Conflict Resolution in Each Tier. Do you ever wish someone would tell you what you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be doing it, and how you're supposed to be doing it? Well, I've got you covered with school counseling lesson plans for the entire school year. And the best part, they're absolutely free. Go to bit.ly/counseling lesson plans to download yours today. I hope you find these super helpful and you're going to have your best year yet. So in today's episode, I want to talk to you all about conflict resolution and how you can teach this to your kiddos. Now, I love teaching conflict resolution strategies to kids because they're bound to have conflicts, right? So if we can teach this to them preventatively, the next time they have a conflict on the playground, at class, outside of school, whatever, they'll know what to do. Or you can use this as like a mediation tactic. So, if you're on the playground at duty or something and you see some kids are having a conflict, you can jump in with some skills and some language that you can model for them to use. And you can use this in a restorative way to repair things. If there's already been a conflict on the individual level, you can work on this with them to figure out a better strategy they could use next time. Okay, so I'm going to give you some ideas for all 3 tiers. So let's start with tier 1. That's your class lesson level, right? So I love to teach I statements. Super simple. go in all the classrooms and teach the kids I statements. So I like to use the, formula, fill in the blank, write it on the board so they can see the visual and practice it. So we would say something like, I feel blank when you blank because blank. Now you can stop there, but I love to add, next time please blank. So let me give you an example. I feel sad when you ignore me because it hurts my feelings. Next time please talk to me. Something like that. No, I'm not saying it always works. Maybe that person doesn't want to talk to you. But at least the kids are learning how to express themselves. Now, something I love to do when I teach I statements is I like to remind them that it's an I statement, not a you statement. So an I statement means that you're telling them how you feel instead of kind of pointing the finger at them and blaming them. So let's rephrase that and feel how it sounds differently. So another way you could say that same sentence would be, you ignored me and you made me feel sad. You need to listen to me. Whoa, the person who's getting accused there or getting talked to is going to feel really defensive, and this is going to start a conflict. So by using that I language instead of the you language, it becomes less of an accusation and more of like a, here's how I'm feeling, let's problem solve and move forward. So I love to point that out. Now I have, I'll link to you guys in the show notes, I have a group, it's for older kiddos, but it talks about I statements. We have like one comic book strip. It might even be a freebie. I'll have to check. I'll link to it in the show notes. But it's a cool comparison of the I versus you statements. Okay, so I love doing that. Just, model it, have the prompt up there with the blanks that they can fill in, and then have the kids practice it in the class lesson level. It's so fun to get like some scenarios going. So have some different scenario cards in a bucket. They come up and choose one. They have to act it out and practice using I statements. So you could break the class up into like 5 groups and have each group have a different card, and they have to act out using I statements, because the best way to learn them is to practice it, right? So that way when they need it in real life, then they can do it. And then you as the counselor, can provide that language for kiddos throughout school. So if you're on, lunch duty, recess duty, pickup, drop off, bus duty, hallway, whatever, you can kind of model and remind students of how to use their I statements. You could also hang up I statement posters like throughout the school in the hallways or in multipurpose rooms, common areas, places where they could see them, or you could even distribute them to teachers so they could hang them in the classroom. This like school-wide approach gets everyone on board, everyone using that same common language to prevent and resolve conflicts. Okay, so that's my recommendations for Tier 1 class lesson level. Let's talk about Tier 2. I love doing a conflict resolution small group. So those kiddos who are constantly having conflicts, they would be a good fit for this group. One thing I've always loved is Kelso's Choices. So Kelso's Choices is a curriculum. It's got that little frog. It's super cute. I've used it before, but Kelso has a wheel of choices that are like cool off, walk away, try again the next day. They're different conflict resolution strategies. Now, there's a video on YouTube to the tune of Ice Ice Baby, and it's like a rap, and it's all about Kelso's Choices, and it's like, it's your choice, baby. I don't know, it's cute. I used to use that. It's fun, so I'll link to that in the show notes as well. But if your school has Kelso's Choices, or you can get it, or they may have some free stuff on their website as well, I'm not sure. But if anything, you can play that video and show the kids the wheel of choices. And that's a really good place to get started by helping them identify some different things they can do the next time they have a conflict. So you could, ask them, which of these would work for you? Which of these won't work for you? Which of these have you tried before? Which of these have you not tried but want to try? That's always a good follow-up conversation discussion to have in a small group after you introduce Kelso's Choices or that wheel of choices. Now, that's talking about resolving current conflicts, right? Like what to do, how to deal with a conflict. But what about preventing conflicts? So in small groups, I also like to identify conflict starters. So have the kids try to think about the last conflict that they had and how it started and how it could be prevented. So maybe if you blame someone of something, or if you leave someone out, or if you ignore someone, or if you spread a rumor about someone, all of these things could create a conflict. So by not doing these behaviors and identifying these conflict starters, we can prevent the conflicts from even happening. So I love to teach a small group 2 things: how to prevent the conflicts and what to do if they are in a conflict. Now, in terms of preventing the conflicts, you could do this at the class lesson level as well. But the beautiful thing about the small group is you can really take it to that individual level where they can share with each other. So, they can share about the last conflict they had, and the group can help them identify what the start point was for that conflict. Okay, so I have a small group I'm going to link to in the show notes for you guys called Pirates vs. Peacekeepers. It's all about conflict resolution, and I like to use the visual of like a pirate versus a peacekeeper, and the pirate being someone who has a lot of conflicts, and the peacekeeper being someone who does not have a lot of conflicts. So we like to talk about the qualities of the two of those, the qualities of a person who starts conflicts versus the qualities of someone who prevents a conflict. So that's kind of a fun comparison or sorting activity you could do as well. Okay, we're going right through these. I love this topic. Lastly, we're talking about tier 3. That's the individual level. Now, at the individual level, I have a fun board game I like to use called Pause It and Resolve It. Again, I'll link to that in the show notes. And by the way, the ones I'm linking to are all in my TPT store, but if you are an Impact member, you have access to all of these resources. So Impact members get unlimited access to all of my resources for one flat monthly rate instead of buying things a la carte. So if you're interested in that, you can go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to find out more. It's amazing. Plus there's all other kinds of like community and PD benefits as well. But if you are interested in resources, you definitely want to check out Impact. But at the individual level, like I said, Pause It and Resolve It is the name of a board game I have. And I named it that because of an analogy with like a remote control. So this is something you could teach your kiddos. You could have them make remote controls as like a craft at the individual level, and then they can pause it and resolve it. So whenever they, have a conflict, they can pause, think about their choice options. That's where you could introduce Kelso's choices or something similar. Think about options for responding, and then choose how they're going to resolve the conflict. But I love that pause piece. It's like stop and reflect, stop and think, and then make a choice of how you're going to move forward and resolve the conflict. So pause it and resolve it. That was just like a fun thing I came up with. I love the analogy of a remote control. So like I said, you could do a craft or a coloring sheet, or you could bring in a real remote control with like the batteries out, and they could actually push the pause button as they talk about their conflicts. That could be fun. Again, at the individual level, you can do, more unique things like this. You can just bring in one remote control instead of a group where you have to bring in like 8, or a class where you're bringing in 30. That's not really realistic. But at the individual level, you can do these fun, memorable, tactile experiences so the kids really resonate with the concept that you're teaching. Okay, awesome guys. I hope you found that super duper helpful. Like I said, this month we focused on healthy versus unhealthy relationships, kindness, and conflict resolution. So I hope you're able to use some of these activities with your kiddos today. All right, I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.